Alright, hello everybody. This is Scott, and today we will be answering a question regarding renewable energy and its applications as far as technology goes. And the one thing that people always want to know is why doesn't we don't all just move to renewable energy and the fundamental issues behind it. Alright, regardless if you support it or not, there are some underlying issues with it that you have to look at. While renewable energy is renewable, meaning that it is always there, you can always retrieve more. Like water power using hydroelectric is very efficient. The water will always come back. The solar, wind, great sources. But there are some fundamental issues, and that is it's not enough energy for how much the world consumes. While I love the idea of us just being able to have an infinite number of clean energy, I want that. But as it stands right now, we don't produce enough clean energy to satisfy our energy needs. Some people say, well, what about nuclear? Well, nuclear is technically a clean energy. It doesn't pollute the air. It doesn't release harshest chemicals. However, there's some interesting things that if you get into nuclear physics and nuclear fusion and you look at it, you realize that if you mess up, you are really in a lot of trouble. If you know what Chernobyl was and what the disaster was and what a meltdown is essentially you have a spent fuel rod and they use it and they put uranium or plutonium. It's a radioactive element that makes up the spent fuel rod, and you put it in a cooling tank, and the cooling tank is meant to prevent it from melting. These rods are in giant generators and they're heated up to ridiculously high temperatures, and it just keeps like basically almost like exploding, mini explosions you can think of it, causing energy to be released. Now, the issue with this is that if you drop one of those rods, it will do what Chernobyl did. It will burn right through the Earth's crust and can get down to the core. That is an idea of how hot these things are, and while it's not technically, the process of it is not deadly. If you drop one of the rods, it's going to be human error that you're going to rely on. That's going to be the issue behind it. There's always human error. But that aside, you have to look at renewable energy as a whole. It's not very efficient and it's very expensive. Yeah, if I was in Arizona, someone could fill up their entire roof with solar panels and power their house. That's freaking fantastic. You don't have to pay for electric. However, you can actually even make money by donating power back to the power plant, and that's just a nice deal. However, issues. It is expensive. Solar panels are not to the point where they're cheap. They're expensive to put up, and they don't produce a lot of energy in most areas. Arizona gets over 300 days of sunlight a year, so it's actually a really good source to do so. Wind power is done in California because they get the winds that come across from the Pacific. So, unfortunately, wind power is even less efficient because what wind power says, if you don't know how wind power works, you get those giant turbines, and they basically push those giant turbines and it generates electrical energy. I'm not going to get too specific, nor do I want to continue doing like complications, but it's not very efficient. Solar power takes the other thing. It takes the energy from the sun rays and then converts it into electrical energy and is used. Hydroelectric uses running water. Think of like if I have a little wheel. If I have a wheel here and it's got like little flaps on top, so the water hits it and it just spins and spins and spins and spins, generates electricity. You have to have a lot of water and you have to have a very powerful generator. So that's kind of the issue with renewable energy. And as far as applications in tech, a lot of server companies actually power directly off of renewable energy, because servers use a ton of electricity, a ridiculous amount. They're not easy, and when you have like a whole server room full of them, it's expensive and it's hard to set up. But it's not going to be completely applicable until I'm not gonna say we won't see it widespread anytime within. We'll see it within the next 5 years. People will start using more of it. That's my guess. But as it stands right now, it's just not efficient enough and it's not cheap enough. But let me know in the comments below what you think about renewable energy and whether or not you would use it. So thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned for the video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, put them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.